let's get right into it. We all have this general idea of how our bodies keep themselves in balance, right? But what if I told you that the model most of us learned in school, well, what if it's like trying to understand a supercomputer by looking at a simple wall thermostat? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on your body's secret programming.
Right, so this is the word we all know, homeostasis. It's an idea that was really made famous by the physiologist Walter Cannon in his book, The Wisdom of the Body. And it paints this picture of our body as this kind of magical thing that just knows what it needs and is always working to get back to that perfect, stable middle ground. And the classic analogy for this, the one we all learned, is a thermostat. If your body gets too hot, the system clicks on to cool you down. If you get too cold, it cranks up the heat. It's a simple reactive system. Its only job is to spot an error and fix it, to get you back to that one specific set point.
But what if that's not the whole story? Not even close. What if the goal isn't just about maintaining one single perfect state? Because that's where things get really interesting.
Okay, so let's introduce a newer and frankly much more accurate idea, allostasis. And this idea, it completely changes the game for how we understand our body's internal management system.
This quote from neuroscientist Peter Sterling just blows that old idea out of the water. He's saying the goal isn't constancy. It's about having the right internal state for whatever it is you're doing in that exact moment.
And this chart just nails the difference. Homeostasis is all about reacting to fix a problem to keep one stable state, but allostasis, that's all about predicting and preparing to meet the demands of the moment. It really is the difference between a dumb thermostat that only kicks in when it's already too cold and a smart home system that knows you're on your way and gets everything perfect before you even walk in the door.
So, what does this actually mean to have the right setting for your body? Well, let's take blood pressure as a perfect example.
We all hear that 120/70 is a good blood pressure. But think about it. Is it always good? Absolutely not. That number would actually be dangerously low if you were sprinting in a race. You'd need it much higher to get blood to your muscles. And on the flip side, it would be way too high if you were in deep sleep. The right blood pressure is always changing. There is no single correct value.
So once you grasp this new model of allostasis, it actually helps us bust some really common myths about how our bodies work. Let's do a quick run-through.
Okay, first up is this myth that our body is purely reactive, that it's just sitting around waiting for something to go wrong so it can jump in and fix it. Just like that simple thermostat.
But the truth is, the body is way smarter than that. It anticipates problems. When you step outside on a freezing day, your body starts making adjustments, like redirecting blood flow, before your core temperature even has a chance to drop. It's predictive, not just reactive. It's always trying to get ahead of the problem.
All right, myth number 2. This common belief that this whole incredibly complex system is run by one tiny little command center in the brain, the hypothalamus.
And yeah, look, the hypothalamus is super important for sure. But the reality is that regulation is a whole brain effort. It's a team sport. The spinal cord, the brainstem, even the thinking part of your brain, the cerebral cortex, they're all in on the game. It's a distributed network, not a dictatorship.
Then you've got this idea that our bodies are only responding to things happening in the outside world. The temperature outside or a physical threat that you can see.
But internal cues, your thoughts, your feelings, they can trigger the exact same physical responses. The best example? Blushing. Your blood vessels widen, which is called vasodilation. That's the same thing that happens to cool you down when you're hot. But here, it's triggered by an internal feeling, embarrassment. It's proof that your inner world matters just as much as the outer one.
And the final myth, this idea that regulation is purely autonomic, automatic. Something that just hums along in the background, totally separate from our conscious actions. The truth is, it's a completely integrated system, and it absolutely involves our skeletal muscles, the ones we control. Breathing, for instance, relies on your diaphragm, which is a skeletal muscle. Shivering, huddling for warmth, or, the very conscious act of putting on a coat, that is all part of your body's regulatory strategy. So, let's see how all of this comes together. Let's paint a picture of a totally integrated body, where all these systems are working as one seamless unit.
And there's this fantastic, kind of funny example of this in action. A cat watching a scary scene from Alfred Hitchcock's classic movie, Psycho. Just watch what happens.
What you see is a completely unified response to fear. The skeletal muscles make it crouch down, and its eyes open wide,
At the exact same time, the smooth muscles in its eyes make its pupils dilate. And you can bet its cardiac muscle, its heart, is working overtime, jacking up its heart rate. It's not separate systems taking turns, it's one integrated, full-body response to a perceived threat.
Okay, so this is all pretty cool science, right? But why does this shift in thinking from homeostasis to allostasis actually matter in our day-to-day lives?
Here's the most important takeaway. Your body isn't just some reactive machine that fixes things after they break. It's an incredibly sophisticated, intelligent system that is constantly trying to predict what you're going to need next, and it's preparing for it. And this changes everything about how we should think about health.
This changes our whole approach to health. Under the old homeostasis model, if you have high blood pressure, it's seen as an error. So the solution is to use a drug to force that number back down to the correct average. But the allostatic view asks a much smarter question. Why does the body think it needs high pressure? It sees it as a sign the whole system is under too much load. So the real solution isn't just to treat the number, it's to reduce the demands on the system, like finding ways to lower stress.
And that really leaves us with a final powerful thought. If your body is this brilliant, predictive engine, constantly trying to anticipate the demands you're about to place on it, what can you do in your own life to help lower its predictive load? What signals can you send it to basically say, hey, it's okay, you can relax? That's a powerful question to think about.